Chat. Happy Friday. Holy crap, it's Friday already, man. Hope you guys are vibing out and most importantly, staying warm. It's cold. Looking outside my window. Still some ice and snow remnants on the ground, but looking like we're on the way up. We're starting to thaw out a little bit. So you've been ready to cook me in an hour or two. Maybe not that quick. That's too. I don't even know what that was. What? Shout out to Ibsen Bracey though. Justin Brooks says ice and sleet up here in Binghamton, New York, like a MF. MF? I know. That's the bit. Oh my god. Well, good morning. That's a great first word to start your day. Let's get this money tonight. Yes, sir. What up, Robert? What up, Fish? What up, Sean? Scammer, Shark, Coco, beware. Oh, you don't know. They don't know. You know, they don't know. Sir, Spencer, J, Smooth, Norman Powell coming to the Clippers for Bledsoe, Winslow, Keldon Johnson. No. And second round pick. Yeah. Not necessarily a big trade, but definitely significant for tonight's slate. Norman Powell and Robert Covington do represent 60 plus minutes of playtime that needs to be replaced, right? Powell coming off a 30-point game. Covington dang near double-doubled in this last game without a real point.
Let's go home.
Let's go home.
Let's go home. Let's go home.
Where are...
For Dameron's last stream, you will be missed.
He ain't going nowhere. Also, there's probably going to be a stream tomorrow, so... I mean... But that might give you your largest D tag back. Shout out to Fish Fan with the 10. But Dameron, we're not letting Dameron retire. It's just not a thing we're letting happen. What up, Obi-Wan? Neville, gun, Potwell lesson for today. Ooh, man, I see. This ain't. You're not gonna like have me cursing in native, are you? What them da? We them boys. What up, Kiefer? Andrew Martinez says, is Kyrie a tier 1 for you with no Harden and Durant? Definitely a ridiculous amount of usage going his way. I do struggle to have faith in the Nets to keep that game close. Utah getting back a big piece of their offense in Donovan Mitchell. I literally always forget to turn Slack off. Vince, Covington was one of my favorite plays. Yeah. Covington, like I said, coming off a game where he almost doubled without a real point and put up a lot of fantasy points. And then, Norman Powell just dropped 30 real points. So not insignificant in terms of trying to replicate those or replace those bits of production, whether it be through peripherals or real points. Does kind of maybe tighten the view on CJ McCollum's usage and whatnot, but we'll chop it up. We'll go game by game here. We started a little bit late today. Just finished up the prize picks stream. Oh, you know what? I don't have the screen share on, so I can turn these noties off for a little bit. But yeah, Clippers look like they're trying to stock up some pieces here. I'm getting 8 million noties right now. This is ridiculous. All right, we paused noties. There we go. What up, Solo? Is Big D leaving? Is Big D leaving? That should have made Fish the largest D. I think so. No, but Damron, Damron thinking he's gonna retire in the middle of winter. That's not gonna happen. Come on, not gonna happen. We're not letting it happen. Nova Scotia says half a foot of ice and slush. Car stuck at the end of the driveway. Screw it. Time for gun. Let's go. Let's go. Man, it's bad. Like down here, man, a little thin layer of ice shut it all down, man. People are scared to go to school. They're not prepared to drive. They're not used to driving in this weather. So yeah, they lock it up. You would think our local grocery stores were like it was post-apocalyptic. There's nothing on the shelf. Like it was a 2-day freeze, man. Holy. Anyway, last night Nikola Vucevic led the entire slate in fantasy points. 39 minutes, 30 real points, 18 rebounds, 4 threes. So, Toronto, not a team I like to pick on with guys that exclusively score their points in the paint, but that was not the case with Vucevic, and got some extra innings to beef it up here. AD, second on the slate in fantasy points. I had him as a tier 1. 30 real points, 17 rebounds, almost won the game. He had a little bit of that In-N-Out burger that was spit back up, making Reggie Jackson the hero. Pascal Siakam, 58 fantasy points, 45 minutes played. Sadiq Bey with the 50-bomb game without Cade Cunningham. He picked up some slack. Almost triple-double, 20-plus real points, 13 boards, 8 assists. Trae Young, a lot of questions on whether or not he would play. He played, and he put up 43 real points to boot on the Phoenix Suns there with 5 assists, not much else. Drained a bunch of threes. So Trae Young joined his ridiculous group of players for most 40-point games before his like 24th birthday or something like that. Chris Paul, 49 fantasy points. Reggie Jackson, 25 real points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. And then, they did either so good or so bad that the next day the Clippers were like, all right, you know what? We're fighting, right? Maybe they can be the Atlanta Braves of the league this year. Adding Robert Covington and Norman Powell to this team. Looks like Ty Lue kind of leaked last night that Kawhi's not coming back. We'll see if they can float water long enough, strong enough to get Paul George back and give him some pieces, trading away Eric Bledsoe. DeMar DeRozan, 48 fantasy points. Karl-Anthony Towns, 47. Marcus Morris, 45. Bam at about 45. Really no stunners up here. Mo Harkless, I guess, was probably, if you told me he dropped 40 fantasy points, I'd be pretty doggone stunned. He had 6 steals and a block yesterday. Insane. Davion Mitchell with a 40 bomb himself, 26 real points. They've been doing all right without De'Aaron Fox, right? So you might see Fox getting some shoppage going on. Zach LaVine, after the game last night, said he wasn't sure what his status would be for today. They have 4 games in 5 nights. He was questionable all day yesterday, so he's kind of somebody that in the back of my head, I'm kind of expecting him to be out against these Pacers, but we'll get into all that in just a moment. But that was our revisit of last night. Hopefully you guys did good yesterday. If you didn't, there's always tomorrow, and tomorrow is today. Where are they? Is that what that means? Where them de? That means where are they? All right. Gun, you scared about this weather? Like in real life, am I scared of it? No, I'm not scared of this weather. I'm fortunate enough to, I guess, be on a stronger part of the grid. I know, looking at social media, both personal and professional, there's been a lot of people without power, a lot more, suffering a lot more than I have. We flicker every now and then, and earlier today I was worried about it. But for the most part, even last year, like I never really lost power. So the only thing I'm worried about is I didn't stock up my personal shelves food-wise. and the locals tend to deplete these stores. So I don't know. I remember last year when we went basically a week during the full freeze, like just baked in snow, and I didn't stock up the shelves. The first day that life got back to normal, I spent like $80 at a Domino's because I couldn't buy groceries, but Domino's was like the first thing I can get access to. I spent like $80 on some pizza, man, because we were eating like noodles and stuff for like a week. Expecting more trades, players not playing tonight because of the trade. Yeah, Solo, it's getting that time of year right before the All-Star break. Guys resting with the extended All-Star break and or extended rest of manipulating the All-Star break. And then, yeah, teams are starting to make decisions. Are they going to make a run for it? Are they going to try and get what they can get? Are the Blazers one of those teams that hit the blow-up button and try to sell C.J. McCollum and so on and so forth? I think I saw Fan put it pretty well. They managed to turn Gary Trent into Eric Bledsoe in a couple years, right? And a couple picks involved with that, right? Damross says, hey, a little group entry day. I mean, if you can recruit the guys, I'm never not for it, but I don't know that I have time right now to campaign for it, and I don't know what's left, joining live streams on Osmo instead of enjoying live here. Hey, Osmo got good live streams. People think you're actually we're going back to the Red Rooster tonight, Terry Taylor. I guess that depends on the O'Shea Brissett and Goga news, but definitely looks like if those guys were out, even one of those guys are out, he should get some good minutes. He stocked up on vodka. Never, as Roger said, never that vodka. I never do alcohol. Maybe one day. You tripping? I'm firing up the emojis for you. For me, he says. All right, we got to catch up on some time. A little bit of time. Started a little bit late to get the PrizePicks show out the way. Almost canceled the PrizePicks show just because we needed that time, but went ahead and did it. Raj said that he wouldn't be able to stream today, and I tend to do all right solo to freestyle through a slate here. So let's do it, man. Stream brought to you by RunDFS.com. If you guys want access to the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet, I'll be referencing that throughout the duration of the stream. It features the index portal, projections, my player pool, the prop detector, moderated by Josh, and of course the RunDFS.com NBA VIP Discord, or really the VIP Discord, featuring pre-log voice chats and all that good stuff. It's a good way to add to your everyday process, research-wise, and just developing networking in the DFS community, man. Go to RunDFS.com, get yourself signed up. Try a week pass if you want to, but still some bulk discounts in the long-term stuff. And then let's get caught up on the underdog news before we jump into game number one. Shout out to Justin Fan. Key news to watch as 3 p.m. Eastern rolled around. Zach LaVine, questionable. John Collins, questionable. Gordon Hayward, questionable. Josh Hart, questionable. Seth Curry, questionable. Larry Nance Jr., questionable. Hassan Whiteside, questionable. Goga Batadze, questionable. And then, of course, earlier today, the Clippers traded Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson, and a second-round pick in exchange for Norman Powell and Robert Covington. So that will definitely impact the Blazers game tonight. And we talked a little bit about some of the main beneficiaries perceptually, CJ McCollum, Simons, and Nurkic. But we will go more in depth as we get to that game later on in the stream. So let's open up the aforementioned NBA RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet, and we'll get it going. Love Gun, happy Friday. I appreciate that, Fair Money. Kyrie assists got dropped on PP. Do you mean dropped as in they put it up, or it dropped from 6? It was at 6 a little while ago. Did you mean it dropped to like 5.5, or do you just mean you're announcing that it's up? Celtics at the Pistons. Game 1 on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Celtics. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and Robert Williams, the Time Lord, up against Corey Joseph, Rodney McGruder, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, and Isaiah Stewart. 215s are total here. 9.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Boston Celtics. Pistons last night were without Cade Cunningham. Expect more of the same today with him listed as out. Rodney McGruder drew the start. And then Sadiq Bey was the guy that was the most valuable from a DFS standpoint, doing a little bit of everything, high assists, high rebounds, high points. Any which way you slice it, you get Pistons, night 2 of a back-to-back against a much more stout defense. The Celtics have been playing a lot better when they're full strength. They are on quite a run in their last 10, 15, 20 games. So this is an uphill battle at best for the Pistons. I don't have a lot of aspirations for these guys from this far out. However, earlier this year, there was a stretch where Sadiq Bey, Ham Diallo were showing flashes of brilliance and fantasy upside. So maybe I would get to a little share of Sadiq Bey and just hope for a little bit of double down on that usage in night 2. And also don't hate a look at Jeremy Grant. But I think this game is prime spread-wise to maybe put the Celtics on the bottom side of the seesaw. And this Pistons team might be a little outmatched. Minnesota last night, letting them drop 117, right? 20 plus shot attempts for Sadiq Bey last night, 13 rebounds, 8 assists. Expect those numbers to not be normal in a matchup against the Celtics, but because it is a range outcome for him to lead the team in usage, I wouldn't talk you off of him. Same with Jeremy Grant. Statistically on the year, leads the team in usage without Cade Cunningham while he's on the court. And sometimes with Cade Cunningham. 16 shot attempts last night. Peripherals just weren't there, but he got you a shot at 20 real points. So maybe you look at his real points props or stuff like that. But from a DFS standpoint, probably not going to be overly enamored with many of the Pistons in my player pool tonight, with Sadiq Bey being the guy that could maybe sneak into the back end. On the Celtics side, Jason Tatum's pretty appropriately priced on both sides, about 10K. Need about 50 plus fantasy points. Feel like I'm getting a decent deal here. Jaylen Brown's 8,200 on Fanduel, looking for 40 plus. I'm getting about a 40 plus fantasy point projection. And then Robert Williams, 7.57K. Certainly a guy that gives us a lot of stock potential to maybe develop a higher ceiling we're chasing on Fanduel. But again, the pace being so neutral in this spot and the spread being pretty lopsided, pretty confident that I won't have much from this game, and anything I do get to is probably going to be down there in the tier 3 area. So, cap them at 25%, and if I get it, I get it. But I probably wouldn't, right? Let's get caught up on chat. If you guys have anything
Let's go home.
Let's go home. What? Didn't even put a message.
Let's go home. Let's go home.
Man, Craig, I appreciate that. Thanks for the good vibes and the creator of this wonderful community. I appreciate that, Craig. That means a lot. Thank you. Caleb says, yo, Gun, I accidentally uploaded a whole lot of preliminary lineups I made for DK tonight. And now they're all junk. Is there any way to mask the elite lines on DK so I don't have to sift through them? I do not believe so. And maybe that's by design. Maybe somebody in chat can help them out, but I'm pretty sure every time I have to unreg, I click one by one. Maybe you could actually reach out to support and they'll do it for you. I've had them help me before. Like a couple years ago, we had a hurricane terrorize Texas. I had to leave. I was like, yo, I gotta get out these contests, but I don't have time. And they were like, all right, they got me. But I don't have an update on that from I don't know that there's a built-in feature. So maybe you reach out to support and just tell them you want out of those contests and they'll hook you up. If not, I think it's a matter of clicking. I've been on OKC all day. They look like spectacular plays now, says K Johnson. All right. But yeah, Craig L, man, I appreciate that. Shout out to you, dude. That's huge. That's love. Would you take Murray over 50 fantasy points? I have him slightly over 50. If you're referencing PrizePicks scoring right now, I have him slightly over 50. And we've seen him drop like 70 in this spot. So big total and the freshest legs on the Spurs team, right? Craig says that was a swap of Morant for Curry from a takedown. It's because of these discussions and thought process. Let's go, Craig. Sweating, right? It's all about the sweat. Got a lot of cat fur in my sweater today. He must have took a nap on it. I had it on the floor. What are you gonna do? All right, next game on the docket: Bulls at the Pacers. Project starting 5 for the Bulls: Ayo Dosunmu, Zach LaVine, Javonte Green, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic taking on Karis LeVert, Chris Duarte, Justin Holiday, Torrey Craig, and Goga Bitadze. We got 230.5 total, a 2-point spread in favor of the Chicago Bulls. Several bits of information to keep an eye on, really just status on players. For the Bulls side, Zach LaVine's, for me, the biggest question mark. He was midday Q yesterday. He's dealing with back spasms. Night 2 of a back-to-back, and like I said, I believe this is a 4-game and 5-night stretch. They had some games postponed earlier in the year, so they're going to hit some tough spots in their schedule. So I feel like there's a good chance Zach LaVine doesn't play today. So I might be trying to prepare as if that is the case. And, this 230 total would be very, very attackable. So I thought that midday Q would keep him out yesterday. He ended up playing. Maybe LaVine's just a bad dude. Kobe White also has a Q tag on him. He's dealing with a right adductor strain. He has been somebody that has been playing a lot of backup guard minutes without Alex Caruso, without Lonzo Ball. This guard rotations get really thin tonight if LaVine were to be rolled out, and the same with Kobe White. If either or, but more specifically LaVine got rolled out, it would give us instant benefits and boosted usage rates for DeRozan, who could be facing a very undersized Pacers team depending on the Bitadze news, and Vucevic, who just came off leading the slate in fantasy points yesterday. And then we got a lot of room for interpretation and expectation in terms of assists for the PrizePicks board for Ayo Dosunmu, who's been playing 35 minutes as is, and most of the games giving us a solid night at the office, and from an assist standpoint, giving us a chip in a chair for 4.5 over every day. Earlier today, when I looked at the PrizePicks board, we didn't have any Bulls props. Has that changed? I think they also might be skittish on putting too much Bulls action out there without the LaVine news. So searching Bulls, no, nothing yet. But they had been listing Dosunmu essentially every day at 4.5. And most Dosunmu props would probably be leading the over if we got LaVine out here, right? Just from a on-off court tool standpoint, let's go pull up Chicago. Simply take off Lonzo, LaVine, and I guess Caruso, and go from there. Ooh. They will unreg you super quick, even if the contest is filled. All right, so there you go. Hit them up, man. Shout out to the chat. But yeah, anytime I needed to unregister, and you get scared if it's like within 30 minutes. But they've hooked me up in the past. It's been a while. It's definitely been a while since I've had to do that. But that's probably the fastest way to do it. I'm going to put DeRozan on this court, take off LaVine, and just kind of go from there. Just change the lineups. I think you're trying to get out of the action, right? We're talking stuff that hasn't locked yet, right? DeRozan, 36% usage rate, 28% assist rate in this split. 328 minutes of sample size. So, yeah, DeRozan would be pretty well projected-wise. 9,600 on Fanduel, 95 on DK. I'm already getting, a high 40 projection on it. 9K, I need that 50 plus on a slate this big. But it certainly stands to reason that the likelihood of him getting it is a lot higher without 25 implied points from Zach LaVine, right? Same for Vucevic. The Pacers, they are without all of their starters outside of Karis LeVert and Justin Holiday. But they have very little height and size in that front court. And the backup height and size they had got injured. So here's what we're dealing with. We know Sabonis is out and Isaiah Jackson is out. Miles Turner's out. So Goga is the guy that they would really like to have to fill in that starting center role. He's dealing with right foot soreness. If he can go, he can go, but he's listed as questionable. Missed the last game. O'Shea Brissett also dealing with some soreness in his lower body right ankle. He's missed the last 2 games. If both of them can't go, you're going to see a lot of steam on Terry Taylor. And Terry Taylor listed as a shooting guard on Fanduel. I don't think that they've moved him. He's a guard forward. He's only 6'5". They would, I think Torrey Craig is like 6'7". I think he would be their tallest guy. So Vucevic would really not have a lot of resistance. So he would profile really well under 9K on Fanduel. I'm getting nearly a 50 fantasy point projection on him, and this total is sky high 230. So a lot of goodness here for some guys implied for 34 plus minutes on the Bulls side. So hopefully we get Levine news. Hopefully he's out, and that would kind of narrow down our interest in the Bulls here. On the Pacers side, Zach LaVine 7,600 on FanDuel. Not Zach LaVine, Karis LeVert 7,600 on FanDuel. Last game, right? People were still skittish to play him. I said, it's kind of the slot machine effect. The numbers will say that he has a real opportunity to be great here. And he was all right, right? No, maybe it didn't hurt him that Isaiah Jackson went down as early as he did. But LeVert turned in a solid day at the office. 45 fantasy points, 26 real points, and a couple peripherals to boot. That 45 looks better, $1,000 cheaper on FanDuel, where we get about that separation again today, but still playable on both sides. And if you just honor the numbers, right, we take off Sabonis, take off Broggy pants, Sabonis, Malcolm Brogdon, and Turner, and stick on LeVert. He's probably gonna have like a 25+% usage rate in the split, with a shot about being about a point per minute, right? There's an edit entries option under the lineup tab. I don't know if he's trying to edit or just unregister. It sounded like he was just wanted to unregister. If you just want to replace all your lineups, you just download the CSV and copy paste over it. 27.5% usage rate for LeVert in the split over a fantasy point per minute, and a 29% assist rate. So on paper, everything for LeVert's going to look well. I understand he's been a tough sweat in the last week or so with similar opportunities. No Sabonis, no Brogdon, no Turner. But with a 230 total and that type of usage rate, I'd have to be there, especially on FanDuel at 7,600. And then Gogoff, he made the cut. I'd be a little bit interested in him. Really cheap prices all through and through on the Pacer side if they're going to live up to this implied 230 total. And then Terry Taylor looking like a point per minute monster, 4,200 on DK. If news fell the right way, right? If Goga was out, Terry Taylor might profile as one of the higher owned who's that plays of the day for those that loaded up on Isaiah Jackson last slate, right? All right, moving on to the next one. It'd be much easier if you're hand building to do it on a desktop computer. Using my computer, got to figure it out. Appreciate it. Caleb, man, we got to get you set up with CSVs, man. Hand building an NBA that far out is just going to be a stressful venture. If I'm reading the situation right. If not, forgive me. I don't know. Sounds like you made a bunch of lineups earlier and maybe they got nerfed. Were they like hardened lineups? Cavs at the Hornets, next game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Cavs. Brandon Goodwin, Isaac Okoro, Jetty Osman, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen taking on LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges, and Mason Plumlee. We got a 217 total. 5-point spread in favor of the Charlotte Hornets. Hornets definitely one of those teams that we've been targeting all year. Fast-paced, porous defense. The Cavs, though, limping into this game without two of their starters, Darius Garland and Larry Markkinen, and then of course life without Colin Sexton and Ricky Rubio continues. And in the previous 2 games for the Cavs without without Garland, what we have seen is that 2 games ago against the Pelicans, they started Dean Wade and Jetty Osman, and then at halftime I said, Dean Wade, you did your thing, but that's going to be a no for us. And Jetty Osman started the second half, but so did Brandon Goodwin. So Goodwin played 26 minutes in that game after not touching the court in the first quarter. And then they followed that game up with Brandon Goodwin starting against the Rockets with Jetty Osman still. And Goodwin has been more of the point guard here. Rondo did not close out that last game, but Kevin Love was on the court. And there was a lot of foul trouble floating around between Allen and Mobley and stuff like that. I think Allen had 4 fouls in in the first half here. He had like 4 fouls in like his first 7 minutes, something like that. But I think that the story here is Goodwin looks like he should be the point guard for them here, and he's 4,500 on FanDuel, 41 on DK. I'm getting about a 30 fantasy point projection on him on both sites, so he's going to profile as probably one of the top plays on the slate in terms of a points per dollar standpoint, assuming that he's starting again today. I'll be right there on him. On the Cavs front court, everyone seems like the right idea, right? Mobley finally came through with a big game. I think it was a career game in points, and then did that come at the expense of Jared Allen being a little less available in the first half, and then Kevin Love. Kevin Love is so uncomfortable to click because he's coming off the bench, but he's out here viable to give you 40 plus fantasy points. Something he's done in 4 of his last 5 games. The outlier being at Detroit, 19 minutes in that game, 3 fouls in those 19 minutes. But outside of that, expect high 20s as an outcome here. And then without Darius Garland, if they need some scoring, and against Charlotte. Charlotte's one of the best teams in offensive efficiency. They're getting Gordon Hayward back. You're going to need some scoring. And I think Kevin Love is one of their best bridges for that gap. So looking at the offensive efficiency chart here, Charlotte's still top 4 in offensive efficiency. So it looks like Kevin Love has a real need here. And his usage is going to lead the team when he's on the court. I got him for 40 fantasy points, 6,900. It's a comfort click, right? It's hard to click 7K bench players that you don't see in the starting lineup, but there's really not much going against them here if you trust the minute projection. So I think I get to some Kevin Love here. It's one of my favorite spots against the Charlotte Hornets. Their pace, their front court, everything lines up well for Kevin Love. So you guys comfortable with clicking Kevin Love? I get it. It feels weird, right? It feels weird. But I'm there. Jetty Osman's another guy, 4,300 on FanDuel. Probably a little too cheap if he's going to play mid-high 30s against the Hornets. 5,400 on DK, a little bit more appropriate for the 30 fantasy point projection, but over $1,000 discount between the sites. Extra implied possessions against the Hornets. I think I'd take the chance here. And there's a lot to really take chances on the Cavs side outside of this front court, right? 7K basically for all the guard, or excuse me, all the bigs, but all the wings, the guards and forwards, all pretty cheap, all things considered. So I don't mind getting there. On the Hornets side, I typically tend to just stash them all in tier 3, drive a couple wedges, 2 of 3 of Rozier, Hayward, LaMelo. They have a lot of guys that can spike at any given time, right? They can detonate, right? Kelly Oubre can take over a game, Miles Bridges, LaMelo. So I tend to not be overly invested in a specific one unless the path to success becomes a little bit more obvious. This guy's out. Right now, it looks like they're very much healthy, with Gordon Hayward being the one guy likely to play, right? He's questionable. It's questionable with conditioning. If he doesn't play, we might get some more Cody Martin. And then we'd feel a little bit stronger about LaMelo Ball and Rozier again. But for right now, they have a lot of projection sites are considering him in. But yeah, conditioning after a COVID stress is certainly something that is unpredictable. And maybe even if he did play, it'd be a little bit more limited, making the whole situation a little bit more murky. So I might even be down on Hayward. But man, under 6K is so cheap. Jared Allen, he's the guy that that early foul trouble last game really hurt his per minute production, and then ultimately made him a failure. 7,100 on FanDuel. Is anybody stunned if he gets to a 50 spot today against Charlotte? No. So I think he's in the mix, but all these guys are going to be down there in the tier 3 for me, right? Let's get caught up on chat. What up, Keith? Why you worried about, did you let me do my thing? Yeah, relax. I'm new to playing 150s after a big SC takedown. Stupid question. Y'all got me lined out. All right, yeah, Caleb, if you ever have any questions like that, maybe on Twitter or on Discord, I'll try and get you through. It's definitely the CSV life, the 150 max life. It's a tough thing. Like, it's probably the hardest thing to do is consistently profit running 150. And I know a lot of people, natural progression is to win something and then want to expand. My sweet spot is 50-60 lineups, man. So maybe come down a little bit, especially if you were like a single entry player. I think you'd be the natural progression to like 20 entry max is a little stronger than diving head first in. But it's always fun to do 150 here and there. Stacked Kevin Love and Mobley to fade some Isaiah Chalk, and it worked out well. Man, that's huge, Keith. That sounds like it was very fruitful for you. Shark Killer Danny Price woke up. Yeah, I probably woke her up. Mark, what up, Mark? I was playing on SaberSim lineup builder, and it was good, but it was hard to sort out exposure to each player. One night I got stuck with 32 dupes. For now, I'm just going to hand build. I don't have any experience with the Saber Sim, but I know the learning curve of really most optimizers is pretty steep. For a while, Cruncher looked like a different language to me, but once you get it, it clicks, right? And then from there, you're a pro. So, put some time in it. Like, if you want to be serious about grinding these lineups, man, put some time in. I know Fancy Cruncher does a great job of you being able to go to like previous slates, and then you can exercise different different rules and just kind of see what pops out. So just don't wait till lock to try and figure it out, right? Put some time in it, try and figure it out. Listen to some music late at night, watch some games, and try and really study how these tools can work for you. Anything more frustrating than coming in second by 0.4? Oof. Boy, you start doing all kinds of stuff you didn't think you would ever do, trying to get the stat correction gods to speak in your favor, man. We'd be lighting incense and twirling it around like we are, I don't know, leading a marching band. You're out there doing rain dances. Come on, let me get one turnover taken away or something like that. Look where your thing got you, though. There's so much news to come. Yeah, man, there's a lot of news. It's especially 150. I definitely don't. I don't worry about it till. I don't worry about making lineups until the hour before, and I usually don't even start clicking optimize until about 30 minutes before. Who replaced Isaiah Jackson? Well, last game it was Terry Taylor, but they could have Bataze back here, and maybe even possibly O'Shea Brissett. So it's not a 1-to-1, To be honest, I had trouble uploading to Fanduel. Yeah. I did a video like 3 years ago on this channel. It was like how to upload 150 lineups, and like I had a whole different Twitter account, but that video still gets like views every day. Like, so it's not a you thing. Don't feel bad if you can't figure it out. Definitely ask around. But there's a video on this channel on how to just do the copy and paste CSV, right? Cruncher's the gold standard. Wouldn't recommend. Yeah, I like Cruncher quite a bit. And it definitely after talking to Dave and seeing what the full tools can do, it's any other opto is really just trying to copy Cruncher, but it's not a bad thing. 58 points in 37 minutes. Oof. All right, let's move on to the next game. Raptors hosting Atlanta Hawks. Project 35 for the Hawks. Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Clint Capella taking on Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, and Pascal Siakam. The sun will come out today. Let's go. Start thawing this ice, man. I'm tired of my feet freezing. Weird curtain is weird. 217.5 total, 3.5 points spread for the Raptors. So Trae Young, as questionable yesterday, showed up and showed out to 40 real points for him yesterday. And then something that we not discovered, but we talked about on the show yesterday was Clint Capella. Clint Capella has been getting into dangerous territory in terms of price point, 6,100 on DK. He was under 6K yesterday. Check out these rotations. It looks like he's not being trusted in the fourth quarter, and my guess is that his free throws are so bad that he becomes a liability. But yesterday, again, in the fourth quarter, played a minute or two, but for the most part, they sat him down. All right, he barely played a couple minutes in the fourth quarter. The game prior against these Toronto Raptors, Clint Capella did not touch the floor in the fourth quarter. The game prior against the Lakers, Clint Capella did not touch the court in the fourth quarter, and instead they have been leaning on Okongwu. I'm pretty well assuming that it's because Capella's free throw percentage is bad. So when they start deploying like hack-a-shacks or something like that, Capella could really be a problem. So we see a lot of John Collins move to the 5 or Okongwu's in the mix. Something to keep an eye on, and I think that's at least a short-term edge on maybe getting some Capella lines on PrizePicks, whether it be over first half, under second half, or just something to keep an eye on. One of these days, he's going to pop off at 6K and be able to thrive, but it seems like the game script for him is going to have to be, if it's not that competitive, right? And I think if it's a close game, it looks like he's more of a liability than anything else. So something to keep an eye on for the Hawks and Clint Capella. Raptors played last night. Everyone, again, probably in line to play 40 minutes. I've got Fred VanVleet, 8,400 on FanDuel, 8,600 on DK. I love point guards against Trae Young defense. So if you're going to give me a shot at 40 minutes against Trae Young defense, I'm absolutely an investor in Fred VanVleet. I got him coming in with almost a high 40 projection. Not almost, a high 40 projection. Siakam's also boding pretty well. Gary Trent Jr. let a lot of people down yesterday. We kind of been discussing the regression monster rearing its ugly head sooner or later. 13 shot attempts against Chicago, 8 of them from behind the arc. A couple games back, he played 41 minutes against the Atlanta Hawks, 20-plus shot attempts, 15 of them behind the arc. I still think he's too cheap to not have shares of. Only went up in price $300. Mid-30 fantasy points is in the, in the range of outcomes. I'm getting mid-30 fantasy points, so I'd play him as long as I feel like I'm getting a good deal on him, and maybe buyer's remorse by the field keeps him at an ownership worth having. Gun, do you vape? No, I do not. Did I do something that looks Obi wants his gun. Thoughts on Terry Taylor? Would you go back to him with Isaiah Jackson out? If Goga and Oshae Brissett were both out, I would feel better about it. If at least Goga was out, or at least one of those guys were out, it looks like Terry Taylor could be the backup big that benefits. But he's not even a big. He's like 6'5", so they're just that short on bodies, The Sun went small in the fourth last night. Yeah, man. Oh, the Suns. Oh, you mean the Suns went? Yeah. They went small, but also it's not just a one game, right? There's a growing trend here of them just not using Capella in the fourth. I mean, we can go back a few more games. Boston's a little bit bigger, right? Beefier. Clint Capella barely played the fourth quarter in that game. Sacramento, they were blowing them out, so it's probably not fair. But in that game, he didn't touch the court in the fourth quarter, but neither did any of the starters. So it's not just like a last night thing. It's a consistent trend of Capella not being trusted in the fourth quarter. Going to a call on Trent yesterday. I didn't call Trent for failure. I called him for, not 30 real points sooner or later, but it was going to happen. Do you like Jokic today? Jokic every day, right? Jokic is always going to profile as like the highest scorer on the slate, which is what is happening right now. So, yeah. Yeah. I like Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Trent tonight again. Yeah, all the Raptors are absolutely live here because of their minute projections. There's just so many minutes. So I don't mind getting to all of them. And then Trae Young running back here, sub 9K on FanDuel. This guy is just such a beast offensively for them. Then his assist rate being what it is, likely closer to get double-digit assist. He did not play in that Toronto game the other day, and maybe they worry about his shoulder on a back-to-back. But as long as he's not questionable or listed as out, I think Trae Young's worth being in a player pool. But at 10K on DK, you need that 50+. So it's not something that I'm driving home as a must play. But under 9K on FanDuel, I can certainly justify a little bit more getting a 50 fantasy point projection on him. Capella's gonna randomly get there. Capella's. It's absolutely gonna happen, Caleb. No doubt about it. There's gonna be one game where he just goes off, and then, like I said, it's if it's a competitive game or a game where they can't risk him getting fouled and going to the foul line and just messing up the mojo. What if there's a game where maybe the Hawks play from behind or something like that? I don't know. But he also just he's such a limited shooter, right? A lot of dunks. That's it. You can't do much if you're gonna be like a 30-40% free throw shooter. And you can't do much else, man. You gotta spread that court sometimes, and Capella's style is definitely tough. And in this particular match, Toronto Raptors, they're one of the better teams at restricting points in the paint, right? Toronto, they're top 8 in terms of points in the paint allowed. I know Vucevic went off yesterday, but Vucevic has the ability to stretch. He had like 3 or 4 threes yesterday. So Capella's just really not on my radar. If he goes off today, he just goes off. But for the most part, I think there's too much risk tied to him. So Collins and Trae Young would probably be the 2 leans for me. This one, maybe some of these long range shooters, but that's it for me. You guys got anything on this one? What a big Beano. Doing all right? What do you prefer, gun, beer, tequila, or whiskey at a bar? I don't drink. I've never drank. I've never been drunk. I've never done any of that. So I don't have. I guess I would prefer black cherry vanilla bang. They got that in a dirty glass, though. In a dirty glass. But one day, maybe. Probably not. We'll see. Lou Dort looks fantastic tonight with Wiggins off the court. I can see that, Willie. Next game on the docket, Houston Rockets at the San Antonio Spurs. Project starting five for the Rockets: Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Jayshawn Tate, Christian Wood taking on DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Dougie McBuckets, Keldon Johnson, and Jakob Poeltl. Am I not Poeltl enough for the Poeltl Club? A 237 total, 6.5 point spread in favor of the home team San Antonio Spurs. Spurs night 2 of a back-to-back. However, last night they went at the battle without DeJounte Murray, without Jakob Poeltl, without Doug McDermott. So while it is a back-to-back, they're a relatively fresh-legged team hosting a Rockets team that are going to bring the pace and leave the defense at the house, right? So a lot of guys voting pretty well here. DeJounte Murray over 10K on both Fanduel and DraftKings, 10.5K for a little parity between the two sites. And I'm getting a 50-plus fantasy point projection on him. And we've certainly known that this could be a spot that nets 60 to 70 fantasy points. I don't mind that at all. Is that you? What was that? What was that? That was weird. It sounded like a cat crying or something. Anyway, Jakob Poeltl's 8K on FanDuel, 7,300 on DraftKings. The 8K on FanDuel, that's getting up there. Certainly a fruitful matchup, but I think most of my Jakob Poeltl action is going to be on PrizePicks. But DeJounte Murray's in play for me as well, and on both sites. I definitely think he has an outcome where he could top the slate fantasy points, maybe be top 3. There should be enough implied value here. Derek White, 6 on FanDuel, 6,400, with the implied points being what it is, 237. That's a lot of freaking implied points, right? I think Derek White has a shot to be top 3 in shot attempts here, which gives me a real shot at 40-ish fantasy points, which is what I'm getting on both sites as well. On the Rocket side, Kevin Porter Jr., 6,700 on FanDuel, 6,900 on DK. I think he is live to keep this game competitive. We were discussing the merit in his assist prop on PrizePicks. Josh brought it up. Good points on that. He's been clearing 6.5. So considering this pace being what it is, I think KPJ could lean the over on that 6.5 PrizePick prop. And then the rest of the Rocks are a little bit more volatile to predict pre-flop, but some really nice price tags for this implied total. Jalen Green at 4,300 and Eric Gordon at 4,300. Both have real shots at 30 fantasy points, and my projections are really pushing them close to 30. Same with Jayshawn Tate. And I just think if you divvy up the possessions and the implied total, the price point's going to make them look all right. And I might set a rule where I don't have any Green and Gordon in the same lineup, right? And just kind of bet on one of them to get there, you know? What are you guys thinking about this game? I think this game looks really, really good. Vassell season. Did we get any news on the Spurs for you guys to be on Devin Vassell? I don't have anyone out unless I'm missing something. Why are we on Vassell? I played Vassell a lot yesterday, right? You got to get Gunn into this. Danielle, he's missing out on the fun on drinking. And McDermott got rolled out. Oh, that's a good catch then. How did I miss that? Chat, you guys, what would I do without y'all? Dougie McBucket's out, so we'll put Devin Vassell in the mix. Good catch, chat. Good catch. Yeah. Let's go. Teamwork makes the dream work. Also, let me verify that. Dougie. What am I typing? What the freak? Doug McDermott. Ankle not listed on the injury report ahead of Friday's game. So that must be an old report because chat wouldn't be wrong. So let's refresh this one. Would look good today. Give me that. All right, KJ. I can get behind that. Gordon has like 15 DK point every time. Yeah, but the total being what it is, I feel like Gordon would have a range of outcome where obviously Eric Gordon's not somebody I'm playing in like 10 lineups, 20 lineups, something like that. But I wouldn't mind him in 150. Just trying to diversify at that price point where high 20s would be worth having. McDermott's in. Oh, I thought. Okay, chat. Not on the injury report. All right, so that's why I was wondering why we were on Devin Vassell. All right, crisis aborted. You had me worried. I was like, how did I miss that? When are you going to rate the end cheap players like the 3, 4, and 5K range? I feel this is where you lose or win at on given night. For sure. Value is certainly the key to every slate. Unless, the 12K guy drops 100, but I'm trying to rate him as we go. Give me all the green tonight. McDermott said Walker's out. Okay, because Lonnie Walker's out, you guys are on Devin Vassell. You know, I'm fine. Like I wouldn't talk off of it, but what is Devin Vassell today? 44. Yeah, I got him for 26 minutes. It's not like I don't got to crush him, but he's right there with Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, right? I got a little bit more minutes on the Gordon Green side, but I get it, I guess. You know. Just says I just quit drinking after drinking for about every day for 5 years. Don't let anyone talk into thinking you're missing something. I'm not. I don't dislike. I mean, I don't. I just don't drink. It's not like a big religious stand or anything like that. I just don't do it. See Norman and Rocco to the Clippers. Yeah, man. Clippers looking scrappy. Maybe they make a Braves run. I like Green with Wood, Thad, DJ. Thad? Keith, are we going off of yesterday's lineup? I like Green with Wood, Thad, and DJ. Thad Young? Lonnie Walker's all right. Y'all are killing me. Anyway, DeJounte Murray, give me some of that. Christian Wood is 8,500, 8,700. You're looking for 40, 50. I think that is a range of outcome, but certainly something that I don't feel like I'm getting a fantastic deal on. But everyone should be considered. Like if you're doing your own research, you should consider everybody that's in a 237 total. But for me, the guys are DeJounte, Derek White, and Jakob, I feel like that's so tough to click at 8K, 7,300. I need 40 plus, and I'm not getting a massive projection on this price point. So maybe Jakob becomes expendable. Keldon Johnson, I'm getting, deep minutes on him, 6K-ish. I'm looking for 30 plus. He probably gets into the mix. KPJ's in the mix for me. I'm probably going to, flip a coin on Gordon and Green and some player correlation rules. And then Tate and Wood, they can be in the mix as well. So, Walker's really out. I know Lonnie Walker's out, but I'm just saying, like, that didn't make me immediately think, I got to play Devin Vassell. Especially like if Trey Jones has earned some, what I mean? Like he's fine as a dart throw. Like I'm not there. I guess I just maybe misread the chat for a minute. I thought the group was on Devin Vassell because of a starter bringing out, and then it wasn't. So we're good though. We're good now. Pelicans at the Nuggets. Project starting five for the Pelicans: Devontae Graham, friend of the channel, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Herbert Jones, and Jonas Valanciunas. Up against Monte Morris, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, and Nikola Jokic. We got a 224 total, 6-point spread for the home team, Denver Nuggets. So just 6 points here. Jokic is 11.2 on FanDuel, 12.4 on DK. If you guys can fit him in, the raw points are the raw points. And I've got him leading the slate in raw points. He tends to often be on a slate with Joel Embiid. And then a lot of times Embiid has a monster game, but Jokic projects better. So I end up with more Jokic. Today, they're about the same price on DraftKings, 12-4, 12-3 respectively. And same thing, $200 difference on FanDuel as well. It's not a massive, drastic difference in points between Jokic and Embiid. So standard deviation could certainly -5, +5. Embiid be that much better of a play than Jokic here, but Jokic doesn't have a ton of resistance in that Pelicans lineup here, and then we know he's going to absolve and soak up so much usage at home here against the Pels. So I do like Jokic where I can get him. Certainly would anchor a lot of lineups that feel like we might have some extra value implied with a couple of these. When a couple of these news bits drop, right? If we get the Levine news, if we get we start deciding on some of the Nets play, stuff like that. So Jokic for me for sure. Will Barton here and there, I get him for 30 fantasy points. Usually I don't run to jam him in unless Jokic is out. On the Pelican side, Brandon Ingram about 8K on both sides. I need 40 plus. J Val 7485. I think he becomes expendable in this slate at that price point. So I probably don't get to anything on the Pelican side. Josh Hart does have a Q tag on him. If he's unable to go, you might get NAW, Garrett Temple to fill in some extra minutes here, but nothing that I would write home about and force into the mix here. So as the case with most Nuggets game, I'm really just here on for some Jokic, and that's it. Anything else? You think Pop gives Thad minutes? Are you talking to me? if Pirtle's in, Thad Young is definitely not safe to get minutes, and I would not take a shot on Thad Young not in the starting lineup here. I think Drew Eubanks could be the next man up. Jock Landale was in front of them. We've seen Thad Young D&P a lot, and there were rumors that he wanted to be traded. So if he's not in the starting lineup, I wouldn't co-sign taking that plunge. I don't think it's necessary to risk that here. No way I'm playing Pirtle. It's a big time letdown at that price. And the price is fluffy for Pirtle. So I don't think I'm there, right? I would take some action on him on PrizePicks though. Rebounds, fantasy points. Their stuff is pretty attackable. Jokic 6 trip dubs in his last 10 games. 6, yeah. Jokic is a different beast, right? He is a different beast. Nets at the Utah Jazz projection starting five for the Nets here. Kyrie Irving, Patty Mills, Bruce Brown, Kessler Edwards, and Nick Claxton taking on Mike Conley. Donovan Mitchell coming back. Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, and Hassan Whiteside. 231.5 is our total with 3.5 points spread in favor of the Utah Jazz. Let me double check that, see if there's been any movement as Harden was listed out midday. Maybe the Utah Jazz become more sizable favorites here. Nets. What is the Nets losing streak? 6, chat? 5.5 point spread now in favor of the Utah Jazz. 229 total. So we'll make a live amendment. 5.5 here. Then we'll pull up the on-off court tool, and we will go to Brooklyn. Hiccup. A hiccup like I drink. What are we doing? Oh, Kyrie. Let's put Kyrie on the court. Put Patrick Mills on the court. Let's take off Harden. Take off KD. Okay. There's 2. Bang on the rocks. We're talking fun. Nothing like getting gun into drinking. Oh my God. Yeah, it's a gateway, bro. If I take one sip of beer in a week, I'm on meth and it's over, right? That's a joke. 36% usage rate for Kyrie Irving is not a joke. 56 minutes sample size on that. 29% assist rate. Patty Mills, second on the team, 21% usage rate here. Definitely like the thought of Kyrie's assist correlated with Patty Mills over real points. So they have 6 assists and Patty Mills at 15.5 real points. Feel like Patty Mills should be second in real points, maybe third, but probably second against the Utah Jazz. And Kyrie's going to do a lot of ball handling here. So with that assist rate and that usage rate for Mills here, I like hooking those two numbers up. 6 assists, 15.5 real points. So let's do it. And then Kyrie's also just going to profile pretty well. But with that said, it's not like an AK Kyrie just got an opportunity to shine without Harden and KD, right? He's priced appropriately, all things considered. 9,500 on FanDuel, 10.3K on DK. Get about a 50 fantasy point projection. Seems fine. So yeah, I still think he's viable. And same with Patty Mills, almost 7K on FanDuel. Like, cool, but I can't trust Patty Mills at 7K. He had some ceiling earlier this year when everyone was out. Kyrie, Harden, KD, we saw him pop off, but not necessarily my favorite spot here. Mike Conley, solid defender. I guess they are missing some pieces with Gobert and Joe Ingles. Gobert, I'd be more inclined to take advantage of the front court, maybe Claxton against Whiteside. But for this spot, like to the price point on Patty Mills on FanDuel, I just don't think I get there. 5,600 on DK, same. He's going to be largely scoring dependent, so likely needs 20 real points to matter. And even then, he's not a lock to obliterate this price point from a fantasy value standpoint. So bulk of my interest in Patty Mills probably going to be leaning on the PrizePicks side, but I guess 230 total. Vegas knows more than old Gundecker, right? So maybe I am sleeping on Mills and Kyrie. Donovan Mitchell, 8,300 on FanDuel, 8,400 on DraftKings. With Jordan Clarkson still listed as questionable. If Clarkson were to be down, we know Ingles is down. We know Gobert is down. So I do like the thought of Mitchell. I wonder what his conditioning is like. He's been out with a concussion, so I don't know what the concussion protocol, cardiovascular training program regimen is like. Clarkson's dealing with right knee soreness, so I do like the thought of AK Donovan Mitchell, and if he's not going to be limited, then I think that's a little too cheap against this Nets team that defensively should struggle pretty mightily. Kind of two steps forward, two steps back, but without Kevin Durant, we've done the math on this stream a few times. Their defensive ratings really doggone bad, so I don't mind picking on the Nets with some guys that we expect to be high minutes and high usage, but I'm not sure what the minutes on Donovan Mitchell would be after missing 8 games, right? It's just a matter of his conditioning. And so I would assume that as long as Snyder doesn't say minutes monitored or limited, I can be okay with 30 to 34 minutes as the projection. And if that's the case, the price potentially a little too low for the opportunity. Same with Bojan Bogdanovic. And then Hassan Whiteside, if he's able to suit up in an opportunity without Gobert against this Nets front court, definitely could give us 30, 40 fantasy points for him. He's dealing with a back injury, officially questionable. And on the other side, with LaMarcus Aldridge out, a few less minutes in that big man rotation. Claxton's coming off a career game against the Kings, I want to say. And at 4,900 on DK, could we get 30 plus fantasy points against Whiteside defense? I think it's very possible. And maybe you like the idea of Claxton, but you don't want to give up a center spot. Claxton had some okay numbers on DK, 11.5, or excuse me, on PrizePicks, 11.5 real points, 7.5 rebounds, and 26 fantasy points. So if you thought he had a shot for success, maybe you get into some of the Claxton numbers on PrizePicks or prop betting. But for the most part, I think the Nets prices are going to lead me to having a lot more exposure to their numbers on PrizePicks than on DK. 10K for Kyrie is appropriate, so I'll have some tier 3, but nothing I'm jamming in. And then the Jazz side, kind of the same, right? 7K Conley feels impossible with Mitchell in. Bojan maybe at 5,100 on Fanduel still has some meat on the bone, so I probably get there. What do you guys know with this one, right? I was kind of expecting to have a lot more interest in Kyrie and Patty, but the prices are so appropriate that I don't think I will. Danger, the safety dog says if Larry Nance is out, could we see some run for the rookie Greg Brown? Seems very possible. I think if Nance is out, you probably see like Tony Snell start, and then depending on like CJ Ellaby, maybe they stretch out Dennis Smith. Maybe like that just completely kills team morale, and then they just put bodies out there. I don't know. Gateway straight to meth. Smart is definitely in play tonight. Yeah, nothing says meth like running to play the Nets tonight. Let's go. Thoughts on Forrest with Clarkson questionable? Trent Forrest. I don't think I would lean to the bench. I guess at 3,500, that's literal chip in a chair territory, but you'd be taking a pretty bold stand that far from lock, because it's probably not going to be definitive Clarkson news at regular slate lock, so you'd be needing to want to late swap 3,500 into something else, and I just don't know that that's going to be a fruitful enough endeavor, especially with Mitchell in. I think it really comes down to what we expect Mitchell to be able to play minute-wise. A young gun there. As long as his cardio is good, man, I think Clarkson out could just mean that many more minutes for Mitchell, and Trent Forrest is just not really that big of a play. But for me, I don't think it would be worth the late swap headache, knowing that we likely don't have definitive Clarkson news with enough time by main slate lock. So you'd almost guaranteed to be needing to late swap some lineups. I missed the beginning. Are any Pistons in play? Frank and Bay. I think Sadiq Bay is worth being in the player pool. That's probably the only one I get to. Frank Jackson kind of popped yesterday, but the guards rotation for the Pistons all year have been pretty volatile with Josh Jackson, Frank Jackson, Killian Hayes, Corey Joseph. So I tend to stay away from it, but it comes down to your risk tolerance and if you want to sweat the Detroit Pistons tonight. Top prop picks. Thinking Patty Mills over 15.5 real points looks pretty decent. Kyrie Irving over 6 assists. I like anything DeJounte Murray against the Rockets related. Yahoo has a couple of lines that are fun to attack. Luca assists might be okay. I think we were on Tyrese Maxey. Um, I'll revisit that in a second. I guess we'll go fantasy scores on a couple of guys here. Oh, Jason Tatum assists have been really nice, and for they keep him at 4.5. He's been doing a lot of more ball handling responsibilities. Cleared 4.5 in 4 of his last 5. So I don't mind that. I'm worried about the scoreboard in that one though. Fred VanVleet's at 7 assists against Atlanta. I think that's low enough that he can get that. I would really like to see Trae Young be in to attack a lot of VanVleet numbers. I don't mind that. And Brandon Goodwin. Brandon Goodwin fantasy points. I don't know that they're that they are appropriately compensating for him as the starter, and that's not a knock at them. And I don't know, maybe I'm over correcting, but Brandon Goodwin, he's at 19.5 PRA. He's hit that in both games. Remember that first game, he didn't play the first quarter, started the second half, and then started the next game. So as long as he's a starter against Charlotte being such a fast-paced team, I think there's a lot of attackable numbers on the Goodwin side as well. So a couple things to kind of get the brain stirring. If you guys want to get on some of those picks over at PrizePicks, and you want to support me in your endeavor, sign up using code GUNDACKER, and they will match your first deposit up to $100, and they'll also show me some love once a month. Be like, yo, Gun, you brought some people to us. Appreciate that. Here you go. And it's a good little deal we got going on. So support us by playing on PrizePicks using our code, right? Code GUNDAGGER. Rah. Very nice, very evil. Like the LaMelo over 3.5 free throws. Been a little aggressive. I can get behind that. Any more trades incoming? I would imagine so. I don't know about today, but yeah, we're getting to that time of year around the All-Star break where trade deadline starts looming. Teams start making decisions on if they're going to make a run for it or they need to sell, so on and so forth. So I would imagine so, but no one really expected this trade to drop today either. So when it happens, it happens. But the Blazers making that trade, they kind of just put the for sale sign on out the window. So maybe they get a bunch of calls, and maybe somebody makes an offer they can't refuse on a Nurkic or a McCollum. Don't like the Maxi assist if Curry's back. That's fair. What up, Brian C? Doing all right, bro? Hit that like button. Yeah, man, hit that like button. Where are we at? 58 likes with 250 viewers. Come on, be great. You guys are great. To be great. Hit that thumbs up. Let's clear 100. Just like everyone, smash that like button. Get us to over 100. This chat's too talented for 50 likes. Come on, y'all. Rozier always goes off in Cleveland, but unfortunately this one is in Charlotte. Sean V, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to the next game. Mavericks hosting the 76ers. Project starting 5 for the 76ers. Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid taking on Luka Doncic, Jalen Bronson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxey Kleber, and Dwight Powell. 210.5 our total. 1.5 point spread favor of the Dallas Mavericks out here in cold Texas. We got no Porzingis for the Mavs. Curry was at shoot around. Korkmaz is out. It's Embiid and it's Doncic. Maybe they put on a show. Both of these guys projected amongst the top of my player projections for the slate. I've got Embiid 2, Doncic 3. Both of them a stone's throw away from Nikola Jokic, so real opportunity here. Doncic in life without Porzingis certainly picks up a lot of slack. And then also, maybe not insignificant, is the fact that Tim Hardaway is also out. A couple extra minutes in that guard rotation, couple extra buckets to be picked up. So let's run a couple numbers here, but most importantly, Doncic without Porzingis on the court. And then we might as well take off Hardaway. What's it going to hurt, right? It's cold. It's cold. Luka has a 40% usage rate. That's dumb. 49.5% assist rate. Even dumber. A 1.66 DraftKings fantasy point per minute production rate, 1.59. So to maybe put those numbers in context to the benefit without Porzingis. We'll put Porzingis on the court to understand how impactful, how significant this is. 33% usage rate with Porzingis, 45% assist rate, and then 1.47, close to 1.42. So he picks up almost a quarter of a point per minute without Porzingis. So it's pretty impactful when you start thinking 30 minutes, right? 30 times 0.25 is what? Beep, 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 beep. So Luka Doncic looks like a really good play. I will have him in the player pool. It will be that it will be that good of a play. So I'm gonna start him off probably high tier 3, but probably gets to the tier 2 area. And then Brunson at 5'8" on FanDuel, 6'8", 6'5" on DK. Expect him to be playing a lot of minutes. I'm getting a dumb amount of minutes on Dorian Finney-Smith. He doesn't do a whole lot while he's out there, but if you're just looking for an opportunity to soak up a lot of minutes at a low price point, he certainly gives you that. 43 minutes against OKC, 39 minutes against Orlando. Again, doesn't do much in those minutes, but sometimes minutes will just dunk into a solid game here. Then Maxi Kleber, 4,400 on DK. Going to get you a decent chunk of blocks, a decent chunk of minutes. More often than he's not in this spot without Porzingis. Hey, giving up a center spot, so I probably don't invest too much equity ownership-wise into him on DK. And on FanDuel, the price point's a little bit more appropriate, 51, but still those blocks can add up, so I don't mind that. Tyrese Maxey, if Seth Curry's out, certainly would be a perceptually tougher click at 7-7 on FanDuel, 7-6 on DK, but that projection might touch 40, so I wouldn't hate it. And then Joel Embiid would be the guy that we'd be most interested in from a raw point standpoint, being so close to Jokic, and Jokic being in a game total that is pretty significantly higher, right? An extra 14 implied points extra 14 implied points in that Denver game. I mean, the tiebreaker for me is always going to go to Jokic, but usually the ownership also reflects that. So if you're a fan of leveraging the field and just hoping standard deviation goes Joel Embiid's way, maybe you go Embiid here, but the projection for me is going to lean Jokic that much. So I will have that much more Jokic because I'm a punk. Maxi coming back home. Yeah, Josh Jennings brought that up on the PrizePicks stream. Maxi did play Texas ball. I think he said Maxi was like the Texas basketball player of the year or something like that. So might have some fans in the stands, man. And also, Seth Curry, a little narrative there, So a lot of fun stuff to watch in this game. Abrams says, I like Melo tonight. He's going to prove why he got snubbed. I dig it. Taylor or Claxton center spot. Is Terry Taylor center only on DK? But power forward center. I definitely would not want to give up a center spot. But Terry Taylor, for me, I need Goga in. I need at least one of Goga and Brissett out, but I would like them both to be out. Like I said, Terry Taylor is like 6'5". He's not like a true center. So they're going to want some size. But yes, I would like him if those guys are all out because the minutes are just ridiculous. Thibault's number 2 rated ball defender this season. Yeah, he's a pretty good defender. Will Watkins, Shogun, was the last time Trae Young been 8,800? Is he a go? He's definitely a go. Not a core play for me, but you saw last night he could take over a slate real quick. 30, 40 real points, a real range outcome. You need some ginger chicken soup. Ginger will warm you right up. So with this heater, but I turn it off while I'm on the air because I don't want noise pollution,
Yeah.
I'm
cold.
Yeah, see, the old lady's cold, man. What am I gonna do? Reggie Bullock somehow went off last night. Gonna do it again. I don't want to bank. I don't like to put real money on Reggie Bullock, but without Tim Hardaway Jr., yeah, he could benefit in those minutes. Without him, right? That's why he wears a hat. I wear a hat because typically I roll out of bed and within an hour I'm live or whatever. And, don't do the hair. We got one game left. We'll do that. Take a pause for the cause. Let you guys know immediately following this stream, I'm going to be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord. The voice chat. If you guys want to be part of the voice chat, You click open that Discord, you click NBA chat. We're hanging with the homies. We're shooting a breeze, making our player pool, hanging out on a Friday afternoon. Some of them might be sipping some brewskis, making them lines, and you guys can join the party. It's not a radio show. It's not you listening to me for another 2 hours. You guys grab a mic, be part of the conversation, man. We're just out here grinding, all trying to get that buck. And you know, of the culture, shoot, I'm trying to get like you. I'm trying to get like you. You know what I'm saying? We do that for 10 minutes and then we prop hunt. Thunder at the Blazers. Oh yeah, if you want into that, go to rundfs.com, click VIP memberships, and find something that's right for you, man. If you've never tried the week, try the week. We talked about Fantasy Cruncher. We do have built-in partnership with Fantasy Cruncher. Anything that you get will get you a credit towards a Fantasy Cruncher subscription. So if you guys want to lock into the All-Star break of baseball, which is July 20th, knock on wood, Lord help us, federal mediator, or if you want to lock in for the rest of the year, $150 credit towards Fantasy Cruncher. Promo code VDAY. 2 days. No one used it yesterday. There's 2 more left on that. V Day, like Valentine's Day. That'll get you $40 off. Have a coupon, yes. Hiccup V Day, and then that year pass becomes $4.99. And then if you imply the $150 credit to Cruncher, that's like ridiculous. What, $350 for a year? That's insane. That's dumb. So yeah, go check that out. Also, we have about 40 squares left for the Super Bowl, $15 a square. DM me on Twitter if you guys want some of that. A lot of fun. Main event tonight, Thunder at the Blazers. Project 35 for the Thunder. Josh Giddey, Trey Mann, Lou Dort, Darius Baisley, and maybe Mahdi Diakite. I don't know what's going on with the Thunder front court, but they have themselves a revolving door. On the Blazer side, Anthony Simon, CJ McCollum, Tony Snell, Larry Nance, and Yusuf Nurkic, maybe a little bit of a face, I'm going to say facelift, but probably a downgrade, all things considered. Robert Covington, one of the only remnants of defense on this Blazers team. Nurkic is all right. And then Norman Powell just coming off a game where he dropped 30 real points. So not insignificant losses for a Blazers team that is certainly struggling to find their way. Has there been any movement on this game since that trade got dropped? Sean says Van Vliet rated fourth, so I'm sure he gets the Trae Young assignment. Maybe Sean, I said it yesterday. You definitely overthink individual defensive ratings. And if you mentioned somebody yesterday and he didn't get cooked, but it's just not the same in basketball, right? Individual defensive rating is still important. And on-ball defense is still important, but that's more so for like isolation basketball, which is like dead and stinking. In today's basketball, you're getting a lot of pick and rolls, a lot of screens, a lot of stuff that is just not the same. So those numbers really aren't as important. So I wouldn't overthink it. I wouldn't overrate it. It's good to know who's a good defender, who's not. But this is not 1992, right? You're not pulling the ball up court and just worried about one guy, right? It's not shadow defense where you can't get around it. Anyway, the Thunder side, 213.5, so our total 6.5 point spread in favor of the Blazers. So the Blazers actually are still favorited, and that's fair. No SGA, but the spread went down from 8.5 to 6.5, and then the total is 213.5. So the total went up somehow. Thunder without SGA, Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, Trey Mann, all guys that stand to benefit here against an even more depleted Blazers defense that is already struggling with Robert Covington. Takes a big step backwards here. So if you wanted to get the 6K Josh Giddey, I'm all for it. I'm getting a 40 plus fantasy point projection. I just truly don't understand this Fanduel price point. They've had several games to maybe inflate him, and he's been a fine play every day. So 6K on Fanduel feels like a tier 1 territory type of play. Tier 1 territory type of play. Let's go. Let's go. Enunciations. Hooked on phonics. And then on the Blazer side, we did a little bit of on-off court tooling for the Blazers earlier today. Van Vliet struggled against DeSumo, shot terribly, but Van Vliet was still a fine fantasy play though. Like you're letting irrelevant metrics get you off of like good plays, right? He was assist from a double 8,600. Like I'd take 40 plus. This is what I'm saying. Like you're overrating the impact of individual defense from a fantasy standpoint. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Anyway, what are we doing? We're doing on-off court tools. Let's take off Powell, Rocco, Lillard. Let's put on McCollum. Bro, just went radio silent. Who did? Me?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You were like talking really loud, and then you just went silent. So I looked up because I thought something happened.
Oh, yeah, I got I got disconnected. I lagged
You laughed.
in real life. 28% usage rate for McCollum. 1 fantasy point per minute, over a fantasy point per minute. Nurkic also over a fantasy point per minute. So not a ton of minutes, not a ton of possessions here. So I really would just kind of trust the eye test and what we know as basketball enthusiasts, right? If you expect the Blazers to play up, the Thunder defense is going to be above average. They're actually probably a little better defensively without SGA, but a little worse offensively without SGA. McCollum at around 8K on both sides. I'm looking for 40 plus fantasy points. I think he can get there. Yusuf Nurkic is the guy that was a little bit more intriguing to me, just because this Thunder front court, they can't figure it out. But what has been a constant is the fact that they just hemorrhage fantasy points to opposing teams. They've been top 4 in fantasy points allowed to opposing centers and top 4 in power forwards as well. So Nurkic stands to be in a good spot if you believe in his minute projection. I got him about 35. That's giving me over 50 fantasy points essentially on both sides. And on PrizePicks, their number for Nurkic is 39.5. So I'm getting almost a 10-point difference. Maybe I need to tighten the screws a little bit, and Nurkic is a little aggressive, but I still kind of like the over, man. The Thunder's just been so bad from a front court standpoint, and they also allow so many blocks. 6.3 blocks per game, I believe, is top 3 allowed in the league. I think it's like Memphis, Houston, and OKC. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So OKC is right behind Memphis in blocks allowed. So yeah, I think there's plenty of upside here. That part with the sub. That part. Appreciate that. You leaning McCollum or LeVert tonight? I think I lean LeVert, but it might be more so to like positively correlate some of my Bulls exposure, and I would need maybe not. I don't know, man. That's actually an incredible 1v1. McCollum is what's the projection say? 43 on Fanduel for McCollum. And LeVert is at 42. I mean, it's right on the nose, right? That is so close. I don't have a lean, man. I'm gonna be honest. I probably put him in the same tier 3, cap him at 30%, and just let the robot make the decision for me, right? Gun, you might be cooking your own dinner tonight. I don't know. Gun, wait, what you doing in chat? Why is the chat losing my? Oh, Gun. I don't know what's happened. Gun has been sensitive. Let's get ban for. Nah, I don't. As long as y'all are vibing, I don't ban people. I don't think you stay on topic, right? No flaming, none of that stuff. But not you, chat. Defensive irrelevant unless the team plays well as the defense. Right. Exactly that part. Exactly. Ready for MLB? Yes, sir. Please help us. LeVert's already efficient. He guards himself just because I would anyway. Ouch. 35-minute projection for Nurk is way too aggressive. You think so? I'm definitely willing to come down on it. I guess it would depend on Larry Nance. Played 36 minutes against the Lakers, 31 against OKC last time. Lower scoring game there. Maybe this total is really high today too. 26 against Chicago, lopsided game.
Hey.
Let me take a look at let's study some of these rotations here. Fast Lane Dream Life, man. Appreciate that follow. Welcome to the channel. So Portland. So what against the Thunder? There's a matchup, right? So the Thunder, Nurkic didn't play the final couple minutes. Game was kind of over, but played 30 minutes there. So might have been a couple minutes left on the table, and Dennis Smith Jr. came in, so it looks like they went a little bit small, which probably means you got a couple minutes of Rocco as a small ball 5. So maybe that 30 minutes could have been 34 because we don't have Rocco here tonight. Against Chicago, Nurkic, yeah, they didn't close that game. It was a blowout. He played 26, probably left some minutes on the table. Maybe gets him to 30. But again, in this spot too, look at this. Robert Covington playing some minutes as the big, right? Simons for this little stretch. Simons, Powell, Rocco, Ben, and I guess Watford. Watford. But it looks like there's a case to be made that when they play their small unit, it involves some Rocco at the 5, and I guess Watford. But maybe it's too aggressive. Like maybe it's a couple minutes too aggressive, right? I don't think that's. Yeah, maybe it's a little too aggressive. Maybe I'll put it at like 32, 33. Rondo sucks. Never Rondo. Oof. Goodwin's a better play than Rondo. I think as long as Goodwin is the projected starter, I just lean on him for the minute seesaw, right? I think that's the case, right? Yeah, that's the case. So I'm leaning Goodwin there. If you told me Rondo was getting 30 minutes, I wouldn't be anti-Rondo. I feel like hometown narratives. Maxey grew up 30 minutes outside of Dallas. Yeah, and apparently he was like the best thing to come out of Texas from a basketball standpoint. Hey, you guys on Twitter, twitter.com/Gundacker. Would love a follow. We're getting close to 3K followers on Twitter. I noticed yesterday. We're only at 88 likes. Come on, chat. Give me the 110. 120? I think we can do that. And then tomorrow, I'll tell you what, here's an incentive. Get me to 120 likes, and we'll do a stream tomorrow, a rare Saturday stream. And I'll bring on the coach. How about that? And we would do that at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. And then we might even do a prize pick stream tomorrow. But it's going to be completely contingent on you guys getting these likes to 120, right? If you don't do 120, then we're just not going to do it. But otherwise, I got to get into that Discord. You guys got any lasting questions, comments, concerns before we get out of here? While you hit that like button, because you guys are OGs, the GOATs, the best YouTube chat in existence. Literally, chat, think about it. If we were all the YouTube chats out there got into a gang war, I'm pretty sure our chat would win. I mean, let's just be honest. So, represent the chat. Is Rondo in play? Probably not for me, James. But if I don't know, what is minutes the last 2 games without Garland? I guess I would ask, what would you want from him, and what do you think? 15, 18? Yeah, if he's only getting 15, 18 in relatively competitive games, I do worry about him having a glass ceiling in terms of minutes expectations. So 20 is his cap since coming back. So I probably don't need to do that here. Is Larry Nance back tonight? Who Portland going to roll out? I think Larry Nance is not officially out. He just missed a decent stretch. So there's a good chance that Larry Nance could be back tonight. If he does come back, he could definitely play some backup center minutes. So maybe that would help us push the Nurkic minute projection down a little bit. He's been out since January 5th, though, so maybe not, a full month now, maybe not a big minute expectation, right? Gun, I will throw you a like if we can hear some impressions. Maybe Al Pacino. I don't have any voice impressions. I guess Mickey Mouse. I do the De Niro face, but not. I don't have any voice impressions. The Doc Rivers one got over, and I didn't mean to do it. Do you like Whiteside at low ownership? Yeah, if Whiteside plays against the Nets front court, absolutely. A big upside spot, right? 40 fantasy points, not an outlandish expectation. A lot of rebounds, a lot of implied shot attempts on the 230 total. I'm getting almost a 40 fantasy point projection on Fanduel, and blocks are something right up his alley. So I definitely do like Whiteside if he plays. Gun gang, let's go, baby. Let them know. They know other YouTube chat gonna hang with us. Do you have a core 2 for money? I think Josh Giddey is gonna be tier 1 on FanDuel at 6K. I just don't think I get away from that. I probably get into a lot of Brandon Goodwin at that price point on both sites. So those are probably 2 plays you find me having a lot of. And usually I like to attach myself to some really can't miss value, like guys that are just too cheap. And then I'll just rotate the studs around them and just kind of gauge those guys, their ownerships to be as high as I can to get attached to those raw points. I'm thinking today, good win on FanDuel, good win in Josh Giddey are probably too cheap collectively. If I could get into another value piece, I don't hate the idea of Whiteside. The thing with Whiteside, though, is if in center-only spots, especially one center sites, you do have to forego like Jokic and Embiid, so it becomes harder to love. But maybe on DK, it becomes a stronger thought. Just kind of looking through here to see any other extreme values that might stand out. Nothing really jumping off the page, but those two. Most YouTube chats are probably 90% 12-year-olds. Hey man, we be out here punting these 12-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? Don't come into these streets thinking we not been stealing Javante a few games now. Let's go. Thanks, God. Appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys. Whiteside's a good tournament play, but not a lock. Right, not a lock, but you don't have to give up a whole lot to get there, right? 2 more likes, people. Let's go. Would we be? We wouldn't. No, we wouldn't. Shark. We would just be. I don't know. Basketball enthusiasts. How about that? Look at that. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Looks like we'll be back tomorrow. Saturday content coming at your way. But I'm into the Discord, man. You guys, plenty of time to go get in there. Super Bowl squares. I got like 40 of them left. Hit me up. That'll be a lot of fun. And I think if we fill that up in time, I'll probably do like a piece of content, maybe a live stream where Danny draws all the numbers and yeah, we have fun, man. I hope you guys crush it tonight. Appreciate you making part of my day, be part of your day. I love you guys. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money. Stay warm.